Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Power Women in Insurance podcast. Today, we are going to do something a little bit different. I am your host, Teresa Kitchens, and I have talked to a lot of women out there in the industry who struggle with time management, trying to fit everything into our lives. And we lead really, really busy lives. So this morning, I have my cup of tea over here. I have my yogi tea that I love. And it's actually, I think, blueberry, slim life. I don't know. And I love the fact that I get these questions occasionally about how do you balance everything? How do you make everything work? And I know that last year in 2021, mid 2021, I did a podcast episode about the fact that you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time. When we're at work, we need to be at work. When we're at home, we need to be at home. And we need to be better at kind of departmentalizing those spaces in our lives, because as women, we want to be everywhere at all times, taking care of everybody at all times. I've been that woman who has had my kids underneath my desk watching videos. Back then, we had the big VHS players. We would rent videos from Netflix back then in the day. I'm totally aging myself here, but back in the day, we would order videos on Netflix, the DVDs, and we would get new ones in the mail every week when we would exchange them out. I had hamsters in the back room and turtles in the back room at my office. And if you listen to the podcast with my dear children from November 2021, both my children I sat down with and did a podcast with, and they will tell you they remember going to sleep at night, and at night I would put them to bed, and then I would go and I would open up my laptop and I'd go work for another 2 or 3 hours. And they remember I've always had these nails, these acrylic nails. They're not really acrylic anymore. Now they're, I don't know, dip, whatever they're called, but they remember that sound on the keyboard, right? And my son would always say that was his lullaby to go to sleep. Maybe sad, but I did that because it allowed me to go pick them up from school, to be able to be a part of their lives, to be able to be room mom, to go be a part of their lives. But at the same point, I still had work to do. So I would love to help you with some time management tools today that would be able to help maybe you as well in your life. Okay. Life, business. And I'm just talking about the whole kit and caboodle, right? Because we are all in one women. We do it all. We have families, we have careers. But today we're going to talk about a little bit about time management. So, and these are actually going to be time management and productivity tools. So I kind of titled it a little bit more about productivity rather than time management. But to me, to be productive, you have to know your time management. Okay. So I do have them here on my cell phone. So if you see me, if you're watching the video on YouTube, and if you see me look down at my phone, that's what I'm going by, are kind of my notes. So today we're going to talk about 5 productivity tools, okay, or time management tools. And this is actually going to be free things. Okay. These are not things that are going to cost you money. You can pay for them if you want to. I think they have different levels of subscriptions, but do make sure that you just take these into consideration, because they will make your life so much easier. The first thing I'm going to start off with, and hold on, I'm going to take a sip of my tea just because I don't know what it is, but my voice sometimes just gets really crazy. And I know you guys have heard that. Caffeine really bothers my voice. But you know, I haven't had any caffeine recently, actually. So I don't know why, but weather also does. So, but our first one is going to be Calendly. If you do not use Calendly, there's also Acuity out there. Calendly is the one I personally use. If you have been a guest on our podcast, whenever I make a connection with somebody that I find is very interesting, I will just go ahead and send them my Calendly. It's a link. It goes out. It's at the bottom of every email that I have. And I typically also put it in the body of the email whenever I'm trying to schedule a time with someone, a client. And on there, you can have different types of meetings. So you can have like a 15-minute quick call. You can have a networking get together with me call, right? Where you can go ahead and schedule something. It does link up with your calendar, whatever calendar feature you use. If it's Outlook, if it is Gmail, I use Gmail. And then you can also link it with Zoom. So if you are doing Zoom appointments, Zoom cells, if you do Zoom meetings, whatever that might be, then what it's going to do is the Calendly link, somebody can go on in there, pick the appropriate topic for your meeting. So like say, for example, the podcast, I have a specific one for the podcast. If somebody signs up for that, then they're going to get a Zoom link because it's through Zapier automatically, or no, not through Zapier. It's just automatically connected with Zoom through Calendly. And it automatically creates that Zoom link. And then I will go ahead and just show up on time for the podcast recording. Makes it really, really easy. Calendly also can send a reminder email letting the participant know that they have 30 minutes until they're expected to be on the Zoom call or on the appointment, whether or not it's a phone call or a Zoom link. So that is also very important. I found that people actually show up for meetings that way. Very important. And my participation with all of my calls is much, much higher. So I really like that. It also takes it, puts it on my calendar. So that way I know when I'm blocked out, what I have going on. And then one of the things I love about it is because you can have the different sections, like I can have, hey, are you a local community person who wants to be able to connect about insurance, right? I can have an appointment for life insurance. I can have appointment for different topics. And then they can even have a section where they tell me what they want to talk to me about. Maybe they're reaching out to me for something. I've had carrier reps schedule appointments that way. That way they're not just popping into my office. I even do it for personal appointments, right? And I can also put on my calendar for Gmail or whatever, whenever I have an appointment, and then it blocks that time out so people cannot schedule an appointment during that time. So if I am doing something like a podcast, or if I'm doing something like an appointment with one of my team members or one of my team meetings, then it blocks that time out on my calendar. Nobody else has access to it. And you can even say what days of the week. So if say you're willing to take appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you're not willing to take appointments on Mondays or Fridays, you can block that out. Super cool. I absolutely love it. The basic Calendly, I think, is free. You don't even have to pay anything for it. I think there are different levels of if you wanted to subscribe to the different features. I think I pay $10 a month for it. So even at the paid version, it's not very expensive. Again, I have it set up to where it emails the client or emails the person who makes the appointment, tells them about the appointment, reminds them of the appointment, automatically creates a Zoom link for certain events, not for all. And then I can also have it to where it asks certain questions. So what are we talking about that day? You know, what do I need to do to be prepared maybe for this meeting? Those types of things. Super, super cool. I have even in the past sent it to, I've even sent it in the past to like personal friends who want to be able to talk about blank, right? And say, you know what, I would love to talk today, but I don't really have a lot of openings. Here's kind of my schedule. You can also say on Calendly, which I think is super cool, that you don't want anybody to be able to make an appointment for at least 24 hours before that timeline. So therefore, people are not scheduling an appointment for like, say, in 30 minutes, and you don't look at your calendar and then you miss it. So I have it set to where no one can set an appointment except for 24 hours in advance. So that helps me every morning or every day at the end of the day. I look at my Gmail or my Google Calendar. And then at the beginning of every day, I look at my Google Calendar so I know where I'm supposed to be at what times. So that helps me tremendously. I love Calendly. I think a lot of people know about Calendly, but Acuity works almost the same. I know some people like Acuity because I think it integrates with different things differently. I know Calendly can also integrate with a lot of CRMs. I know if you're with Better Agency or Agency Zoom or Monday.com, I'm actually transitioning over to Monday.com. Those do have a Calendly integration as well. So they have an open, what's called API, which means you can integrate it with most of your platforms. And it's super cool to where people can go on your website, email, whatever, and just make an appointment for you. So really, really cool. Love my tea. You guys, if you guys ever do yogi teas, ladies, and they have these cool little motivational messages on each tea bag. This one right here says, make this day be the best day to lead us to peace, to happiness, and to joy. So as I drink my tea, we are doing our best to lead to peace, happiness, and joy today. I just love that. Number 2 is the time block. we're going back to that Google Calendar again. If you need to make follow-up calls, if you need to do things, a lot of times if I go ahead and block off time on my calendar, then I can get in there and I can do those things. Now, I am super ADD, super difficult to focus. I am very, very squirrel oriented to where I just boop off to another topic. But if I have a time on my calendar to do something, it pops up on my computer, says, hey, this is your time for follow-up calls. This is your time for team meetings, whatever it might be. And if it gets on my calendar, I'm really working hard that in 2022, I keep all of my appointments in 2022. Sometimes with my team meetings, I'm like, hold on, I'm busy, give me 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden it's 45 and it messes with everybody's schedule. So in 2022, I'm working really, really hard so that time blocking is something I really stick to. So I'm really good about putting things on my calendar. And if it's for an outside appointment, I'm great at being there. But it's internal time blocking that I can struggle with. And because I think of it as flex time, I think of it as flexible, and it should not be that way. When we put something on our schedule, say, you could do something to say like work on the business, right? A lot of questions that I get are, how do you find time to work on your business? I time block it. I literally on Fridays, usually from 10 to 2, I'll go ahead and use that as what I call inspiration time on my calendar. Sometimes I do like 10 to noon, depends on what I'm working on that day. But I love the fact that I can go ahead and I can do the time blocking. It pops up on my calendar. My team knows that certain time blocks are non-negotiable. They know that they don't message me, they don't talk to me during those times. And they know that if they do, I turn off my instant messenger. So we use Skype inside my office. I would love to move to Slack or another platform. I have reasons why I don't. I've talked about that here on the platform as well on the podcast. But I turn off all of my email. I disconnect from all of our chat features during those time block times when I'm supposed to be working on the business. So with that time blocking feature, it allows me to focus on training a new employee. It allows me to focus on building the business, maybe marketing if I need to be able to develop marketing materials or whatever. That allows me to block off that time. And I know it's up to me, because if it doesn't get done, it's a problem with me, right? And so I need to own up to that. So, so number 2, time block. Number 1, Calendly, which is setting a calendar and not doing the back and forth, right? We don't have to do the back and forth. Well, I have this time. No, I don't. No, that's when I'm busy. No, that's when I'm free, right? Calendly, it's awesome. Time block allows you to create times where you get things done that are important to you, important to your business, and important to being able to move forward. Very important. I always say use a calendar and follow it. That's actually number 3 on here. I kind of mentioned it already, that calendar is no good if we don't follow it, right? But I will tell you that I will put on my my team member. I have Veronica, who's amazing. She will make my hair appointments for me. So she'll put it on my calendar. If somebody else schedules an appointment for me, they'll put it on my calendar. Calendly blocks off that time so nobody else can schedule. So when you have a calendar, make sure that you follow it, and that, again, I'm so squirrel oriented. I actually have to have a goal this year that I'm actually going to follow my calendar. Kind of crazy. But anyway, that's just me. Next is to separate out emails. Now, I follow an email platform, or I use Gmail, but I follow an email philosophy. I actually found it on YouTube, and somebody in one of my Facebook groups, shout out Women of IAOA, ended up posting it. I will link it below here as well. What it does is it has you create different folders. Now, it's different. It's not folders based on the topic. It's not folders based on who sent it. It's folders based on what you need to do. So there's one for what you might need to review. There's one for things you might need to do. There's one for maybe things you need to watch. There is one for maybe things you need to follow up on, right? And as emails come in, I automatically put them into those folders so that then I could go ahead and I could just knock out a whole folder of things I need to get done that day. And then I have a folder that says processed. So anything that's done, I just move it to the processed folder. So that way I still have the emails. I can do anything I want with the emails down the road. I can find them, but that allows me to know what I need to review, pay attention to, what I need to do, which means things I need to create an activity on, things I need to follow up with, which are maybe just I'm waiting on information, things that I need to watch, which is maybe for a certain date, something needs to come up at some point and I need to make sure that I'm aware of it. And then of course I have processed. I do have a separate folder just for the podcast. And I have a separate folder specifically for another project that I work on. And I do have another folder for family stuff. So I try not to give out my business email for family stuff, but I do have a little bit of, just because I was not always as good with that, one for that. I also have one for purchases that I put receipts in. So whenever I get an e-receipt of something, either from, say I subscribe to my CRM system, or I purchase something online, or I just get a monthly invoice for something, I will put it in there as well. That way I have a specific folder for all of my receipts. So as emails come in, I only check emails. I check emails first thing in the morning, and I give myself 30 minutes. So at 8 a.m., 30 minutes. I check my emails at 11, and then I check my emails at 2. And I usually try to check it before the end of the day. Maybe way too much for you. That's perfectly fine. But I automatically file first thing in the morning, and then I will automatically file at my 2 o'clock as well. And then my 11 o'clock and my 5 o'clock are just to kind of answer and wrap up the day kind of thing. So that has really helped me to not be stuck on my email all day long and to not be as reactive. Again, I got a squirrel problem, right? So, and I'm not going to say those timelines are etched in stone, because if I have an appointment or something pops up on my calendar, then I definitely take care of that first. Again, squirrel. But I do make sure that I try very, very, very hard to follow my calendar, to only check emails during certain times. And I'm working really hard to make sure I file all the emails appropriately. Again, that's a new thing for me in 2022. But I find that it has really helped my peace. Ladies, I am somebody who, honestly, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about work stuff that I didn't think about since 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Or since the day before. Somehow my brain brings something up and goes, hey, guess what? You need to pay attention to this. And that's not good. So I am working on being present, being intentional in my business, with my team, with my clients, with my podcast hosts, with the mastermind that I run, with all the different pieces. Because I noticed that I'm constantly mentally somewhere else. And I don't want to be that way this year. I had a really, really, really hard 21. Not necessarily going to go into that. I talk about it all the time on the podcast. I'm sure you'll hear about it if you listen to it on other ones, personally and professionally, just very, very difficult. And I had a situation, and if you go back to probably October, I did a podcast specifically on losing my son this year. And I know that he knew he was loved. And when I was with him, I worked really, really hard to be totally present with him. And I value that. I am taking that into 22 with me, that I want to give that gift to other people, not just my kids, not just my husband. I want to give that to my team. I want to give that to my clients. And so I'm working on being present. And I can't be present if my mind is somewhere else. I can't be present if I'm constantly scheduling appointments. That's why Calendly is so important. I can't be present if I'm worrying that I didn't do my follow-up calls. Again, time blocking, so important. I can't be present if I'm wondering what's on my calendar. And as long as I follow my calendar and look at my calendar, then I'm good, right? So by doing these things, it's helping me with my personal agenda this year to be present, to be here, and to make a difference in the world. And that to me is my overarching word for the year is to be present. And these are tools for productivity, efficiency, but also to help my brain shut down at night, to rest, to sleep, and also for me to be completely present with whoever it is I'm talking to. So separate out your emails so that you know what you have to do in what phase, what stage. If you want to have one that's like urgent, specifically, you can. I like color coding in Gmail because you can color code different emails, and I'll make red urgent, and I make green something I need to pay attention to, and yellow kind of a warning, like this is important. So that way I go into my do folder, and then I can watch the color coding to make sure that I know what I need to do first. So what kind of has priority. So that's another email tip, productivity tip. And then the next is get ahead of your week. That's my productivity number 5. Okay, we have Calendly, time block, use a calendar, follow it, separate out your emails with the different sections. I'm going to put that YouTube training process in the link in the show notes. And then number 5, plan your week. They always say what you focus on happens. Okay, if you don't focus on it, it's not going to happen. If you are working on your agency, if you're working to grow your book, grow your productivity, if you're working to grow a team, hiring, if you're working to grow your knowledge, if maybe you're working on a certification, if you don't plan ahead, it won't happen. Sit with that for a minute. It won't happen. If you want to go walking more, if you want to go running more, if you want to go learn a new habit, if you want to learn pottery, if you want to connect with girlfriends and have girls' night out more, if you want to be more present, plan for it. Make an intentional move for it. All right. If you're looking at the YouTube video right now, you notice my hair needs massive coloring. Today, I'm going to go ahead and start pre-scheduling my hair appointments because right now I am way after, and my hairdresser actually moved into a new location, did a whole build out, went out on his own, which is fabulous, super excited for him. But I'm really, really late on a hair appointment. So this week, I'm like, what can I do? So that way I don't sit around and have this nagging thing, because if my hair doesn't look a certain way, I feel like I am more depressed. Probably a bad topic to talk about, but honestly, if my hair's, because my hair's really super dark, which way do I show? If you look at it, it's naturally very, very dark, and I feel depressed with that, and that's probably not a happy topic. But if you're not working out, if you're not doing your self-care things, then we're going to feel less energized, less focused, less present in the moment. And again, I'm being present this year. So I'm doing the things to pre-schedule. So look at your calendar, know what you have ahead of time for the next 3 to 5 days, know your next month. What do you have on your calendar coming up? So it gives you that peace that you're doing the things you need to do. If you need to make time for lunch or dinner with your kids, if you need to make date night, very important, schedule date night. I had, a situation one time with my kid's father, my first husband, and I was like, let's schedule. I put it on my calendar to go buy cards. I'm not a gift-oriented person. That's not my love language. His love language is very much gifts. So I would put on my calendar, and again, I wasn't very good at it, so I wasn't very accountable for it at that point, to go buy a card, right? And to be able to make sure that I left it for him in the mornings. Well, he wasn't very appreciative of that. He was like, well, why do you need to schedule it? It needs to be impromptu. You need to really feel it. I'm like, I'm so focused during the day in like one little widget of my life that I don't think about it. So I need to schedule out gifting, right? I have a virtual assistant that helps me out with that. She's like, hey, did you notice blah, 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 did this? Would it be great if we send him a gift? And I have her with a little cash card that she has. And I put $100 into it, and she knows that then we talk about it, and she goes online and she orders something for that person. We run mainly a virtual agency, so it shows up at their house, and it's a nice little gift oriented type thing. So I can honor people's love languages, but again, I delegate it. I work with it. I put it on my calendar, and I try to do things for people that feed them, because that is a very big being present thing. And if I need to put it on a calendar, I'm fine with that, because that's the way that I have to do it, right? Again, I give a lot of words of affirmation. I give a lot of quality time. Quality time is my love language. But I don't think about gifts. I just don't. And so schedule things that you're not good at, right? So if you need to schedule, like I said, date night with your kids, super important. I used to take one kid out. Unfortunately, I did it like once a month. I should have probably done it more, but even as an adult, I would have lunches with my kids. And my son and I would have lunch probably every 2-3 weeks. My daughter and I would Zoom about once every 2-3 weeks. And that way we can see each other's face. We'll FaceTime, that kind of thing. She's up in Denver, Colorado. And we would even do the three of us, especially during COVID, we would do a Zoom call where the three of us would I'd order lunch for them. I'd send them lunch, and then we'd sit down on a Zoom, and the three of us, while we were quarantining, could go ahead and have lunch together. I've done that with my dad for Father's Day, where I order him lunch, and then he sits down and logs into a Zoom meeting, and we have dinner together. We did that for Father's Day during COVID. I need to do it again. He lives in Memphis. I'm in Dallas. But even if people are not in your direct space, make time for them. Know your calendar, know your schedule, make time for the things that are important. Plan your day, plan your week. And that includes exercise. That includes things that inspire you. Take up a hobby, do something fun, because our mental and emotional health is so important. And we cannot pour ourselves into our clients. We can't pour ourselves into a team. We can't manage a team, even if you're working for a carrier, even if you're working for a big company. We cannot manage a team if we ourselves don't know where we're supposed to be, what we're doing, and if we're scattered, we're stressed, we're not sleeping, those types of things. So that's my 5 productivity hacks. I'm going to pull back up my phone real quick. Okay, my productivity keys, my time management keys: use an online calendar scheduler, Acuity, Calendly. Make sure you use time blocking. Again, these are all free. Use a calendar, follow it, very important. Separate out your emails so that you know what you need to do. Reduce that stress, reduce it. Plan your day, plan your week, and plan, I'm gonna add number 6, plan the things that are important to you first. So important. Ladies, we are balancing so many different things. Men, we're balancing so many different things. I get a lot of messages from men who listen to the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this helps you to be able to get more out of your day, the things that you want out of your day. Join me every single Wednesday as I highlight a powerful woman in the insurance space. Today, thank you so much for joining me in my yogi tea as I talk about some great productivity tips. I don't do a lot of business tips specifically. I'm going to try to start doing some of that to bring some of that to you on an individual basis as well. Things that I think help make us those powerful women. And I have a hair appointment in a couple hours, so I'm going to be super happy. Next time, hopefully you see me, I will be all blonde again. But thank you. I'm coming here. I'm real. This is honest to goodness, just me on a Thursday afternoon. So I appreciate you for joining me every single week. Please give us a review either on the Facebook group or on Instagram. But I would love it, especially if you went to wherever it is that you stream this, either on Spotify, on iTunes, and please give us a review. It's those reviews that help people find us. So let's make a difference, me and you together. Cheers, as we help to be able to give a voice to more women in the insurance space and empower more women to be powerful women. Everybody, talk to you next Wednesday. Have a great day.